Well, here we are today at Asotin Creek. This is my summer bucket list ride, and I call it a summer bucket list ride because I try to get these rides in at least once every summer. But this ride has been extremely difficult to get in because I've tried it several times, and every time I've tried it, it's been a fail. And the reason it's been a fail is for several reasons. First of all, the trail ends, the last mile is about 1,000 feet of climbing over a distance of a mile. And after a 12-mile bike ride, that's the last thing I want to do is try and traverse up 1,000 feet of climbing. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, and it's probably not a lot of fun going back down as well. So the first time I attempted this ride, I attempted it from the top, which means I rode up from the bottom, but not on the Asotin Creek ride. I rode up on the Lick Fork Road to Sourdough Gulch and rode up from there, which isn't a bad ride. The Sourdough Trail is that's an old farm road, so it's a decent little ride to ascend up to the top of the hill, but it does run out, which means you're going to run into about another mile or so of traversing to get back up to the top of Pinkham, which is kind of a pain in the ass of going through some grass and some old, I don't know if you want to call it a fire road, a logging road, but it's a pretty crappy road until you get back on the trail, until you get up to the top of Pinkham. And then I spent probably about an hour on top of Pinkham just trying to find the trailhead to get back down to Asotin Creek. So that ride was a fail because I couldn't find the trailhead, and eventually just gave up and came back down the road. So I followed this ride on trail forks for the last couple of years. I did notice a few more people have attempted it, and what I found out was when they got into the bottom, it was pretty brushed over. Lots of weeds, lots of sticker bushes, and it didn't look like a lot of fun. So coming in from the top, traversing down a mile, 1,000 feet, only to find out that your trail is going to be completely brushed over, might not have been a good idea anyway. But then something happened a couple years ago that made a difference for me on wanting to get back at this trail. They had a massive forest fire, and that fire burned, probably the hottest that it burned was right here in the bottom of this canyon. So I thought, what the heck, let's give it a try again and see if it's all cleaned out. And this time I tried the trail from the bottom of Asotin Creek to ride it to the top and then turn around and come back. And as I suspected, it did burn it out pretty good, but they haven't had a chance to get back in here and clean it up. So there was a lot of down trees, a lot of debris. I had to climb over some logs to get to where I wanted to get to, but it wasn't horrible. And I did clean out the trail pretty good, which made for a really nice ride. And I could see that the trail has a ton of potential to be a really great cross-country ride. But unfortunately, I did get to a spot about 8 miles up where there was a tree across the trail that just was completely unpassable. And then as luck would have it, as I turned around to come back, there was also a rattlesnake on the trail who wanted to make things a little unpassable for me as well. So anyway, I've tried this ride twice to get out here. It looks like a really fun ride. I know from the 8 miles I've done, it looks like it's going to be a good adventure. I did talk to the Forest Service. They did assure me that the trail has been cleared this year. So we'll see if we can take them at their word, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later as we get on top. So third attempt at Asotin Creek today, and we'll see how much fun it's going to be. So the first couple miles of Asotin Creek starts off as just an access to the trailhead. So it's a double trail. Doesn't look like it's very well maintained, but we'll see as we get into it what it looks like on up the route here. So I do see some stuff on the ground that looks an awful lot like goat head. That's not something I want to see starting out my day for sure. So far, a couple hundred feet into the ride, looks like shit. about a mile and a half into the ride. Steady climb, about 100 feet per mile. One of the things about this ride is you're not going to get the views that you would because you're never on top. So the difference today is you get the views looking up from the bottom of the canyon on out to the top. And it is pretty cool. In some spots where it opens up, you can really see some things pretty nice. I'll leave the GoPro on for a minute, let you see what it's like climbing up this little trail. The vegetation has definitely grown since the spring when I contacted the Forest Service, and they assured me that they had cleared it. So we'll see what it looks like once we get into the more wilderness. One of the joys of today's ride is a little bit of rain, which means every branch I hit, the trees and the leaves drop some moisture on me, so I got a feeling I'm going to be pretty wet by the end of this ride. So we're getting towards the end of the double track. You can see some of the scars left behind of the fire, but you can see a tremendous amount of regrowth. So as tragic as people think it is to watch a forest burn, there is a cleansing process, nature's own way of taking care of itself. So I don't know if this road is legal for ATVs or if it's just a service road that the Forest Service uses. I can see some ATV tire tracks on it, so I know that they've been using it. Somebody's been using it. Anyway, we're about 3 miles in. I think there's another mile before we get to the end of this and get onto the single track. It's been about a steady 100 feet per mile. Kind of reminds me of the Trail of the Hiawatha. Just a lazy little climb, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So 1 mile in on the single track, the actual ride begins after 4 miles of the double track to get there. And I can tell you the trail is garbage. I'm looking at this deadfall from the fire 2 years ago. It tells me that the Forest Service is probably full of shit when they said that they cleared the trail this spring. So we're going to continue on for a little ways. I don't know how much more of this I want to do. The last time I did this trail, I think I made it up 6 miles before I turned around and came back. I'm at the 5 mile mark right now. It'd be a damn disappointing day to have to turn around and come back, but based on what I've seen so far, it looks like crap. Unless you stay up high. If you're able to stay up high on the trail, it gets a little drier, a little clearer. You get down closer to the creek, it gets brushed over pretty good. So we'll see what happens. All right, mile 5, 638 feet. And folks, you can see the trail in front of me. And about every other year, I say, I want to give Asotin Creek a try. I'm going to give it a shot again. I call this trail my unicorn because for some reason, it's just never going to let me finish this ride. This is kind of what I've been faced with for the last mile. And that tells me that that's about 7 more miles of this gunk on the trail, and I'm just going to call it a day and give up. Unfortunately, there's no fun in riding through this stuff, plus the fact that it rained last night. So I'm pretty sure that with me being soaking wet, I probably gained 10 pounds of water all over my clothing. And if I ever should suggest, hey, let's give Asotin Creek a try, if you've seen this video, remind me. Tell me, no, Asotin Creek is just, it's not worth it. It really isn't, and it's just damn disappointing
because it has the potential to be such an amazing ride. The trail itself is a nice trail, and it doesn't traverse ridiculously up anywhere, any spots. And the canyon is just beautiful, but just the lack of maintenance, as you can see, is just regrettable. It's regrettable. I don't know if the Forest Service is going to tell you that they just don't have the money to do it, or if they're just going to lie to you and tell you that they did to make you believe something that isn't true. Or maybe this is just the overgrowth from you know, them coming up here in the spring and clearing it. I find it hard to believe when I contacted them in the spring. It was so early that they actually came up here and did it, because they assured me that it was done and it was clear, and it was awful early in the season when they said that they did. So if they did, this is the result. It grew back, and it grew back fast, and it just destroyed a trail that could have so much more potential. Anyway, that's it for as far as I'm going to go today. I'm going to turn around. I'll try to get some shots on the way back. Well, we're back to the trailhead, so 4 miles of clear riding to get back down. That was 2 miles of garbage. So if you want to leave a comment on my page when you look at the stuff, just simply say thank you. Thank you for reminding me that this is a trail that you should not do, for sure, because this trail is garbage. And if you want your day to end in regret and disappointment, and for me, a full tank of gas just to get here, you should do the Asotin Creek trailhead, just to remind yourself of how terrible it is out here. And then you can go back and do some really nice maintained trails in states like Montana and Oregon, where they actually take care of their stuff, as opposed to Washington, where apparently they don't. And I say that because in this corner of southeast Washington, we have 5 distinct regions of mountains. We have the watershed region, which is do not enter at all, closed to all access. And then we have wilderness, which wilderness you can't go in, but you can't go in on a bicycle. And then we have my favorite, which is the private property, which might as well be watershed or wilderness, because you ain't going to get in there either. And then you have this small tiny island of national forest in the center of it all, which is really hard to get to. You have to drive from Walla Walla at least an hour or two to get to some of these trail accesses. So it's really disappointing when you finally get to these small areas where you can recreate, and you find out that they're just not able for somebody to be able to recreate on them, because of the lack of maintenance that seems to be given to these things, the attention that they need, they so much deserve. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my misadventure, my third attempt at Asotin Creek, my third failed attempt at Asotin Creek. And I can tell you folks, I will never be back to Asotin Creek again. This is my last hurrah at the unicorn of mountain bike rides, because there must be something just beyond spectacular when you get past the 6 mile mark, because whatever it is, the mountain just does not want to give it up. She does not want to reveal her secrets.